We're in a prime era of JRPGs. It feels like every other week there is an anticipated JRPG hitting the shelves. As a result, there just isn't enough time to play every game coming out. Here are 10 JRPGs out within the last few years that are still sitting on my backlog. JRPGs are known for being longer than most games, as you spend time learning the complicated mechanics, take in those character relationships, and enjoy the incredibly in-depth stories that they present. These are all reasons why I love JRPGs, and I wouldn't change that for the world. I've spent the last 30 plus years playing JRPGs, and I intend to play them until the end of my days. However, as these games do tend to take an extended amount of time to finish, some lasting upwards of 100 hours, you're bound to build up a backlog of anticipated games just due to not having enough time to get to each and every game you want to play. I am no different in that sense. Today, we're going to talk about 10 JRPGs in my backlog that I was highly anticipating, but just didn't have the time to play. So strap yourselves in, prepare yourself as we talk about 10 anticipated JRPGs released in the last few years that are still sitting in my backlog. Let's start this list off with pure style. Persona 3 Reload, released on February 2nd, 2024. Persona has always been a series that I've enjoyed, ever since I started it with the original Persona 4 on the PlayStation 2. When Persona 3 Reload got announced, I was incredibly excited. Unfortunately, when it did come out, I was knee-deep in Tales of Symphonia, and I didn't quite find the time to start the game. By the time I was done playing Tales of Symphonia, I had moved on to something else, and I completely forgot about Persona 3 Reload. I absolutely loved Persona 3 FES. In fact, to date, it's still my favorite Persona game, so thinking about it, I'm scratching my head wondering why I didn't drop everything for the remake of it. Regardless, I'm gonna have to make time for this sometime soon. Sure, it's a remake and I've already enjoyed Persona 3, but I've heard nothing but positive things for this remake, so I feel like it should be on my immediate to playlist. Especially because Persona 3 had one of the most epic soundtracks as far as JRPGs are concerned. I still listen to Mass Destruction on a regular basis, which is kind of a surprise actually, because I am not usually a fan of rap, but somehow it works and is incredibly catchy. And now that song is stuck in my head again. Okay, enough Mass Destruction, let's move on to the next song, game on the list. The Mass Destruction brain rot is real. Next, we're jumping right into Yakuza with Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth, released January 26, 2024. So I've mentioned the Like a Dragon series several times before on this channel. I played a little bit of Yakuza 7 and I adored what I played of it. However, I heard that in order to get the full effect, you need to play the series in order from beginning to end. Sort of like Trails Syndrome, as I like to call it. Gotta play every game in the series to get all the lore and the character background information. Being the type of guy I am, I was like, what's 1,000 hours of my life? I'm gonna game anyways, so why not jump into a new series? So there I go, starting with Yakuza 0. Loved it. I've been playing them for the last few years. Currently, I'm playing through Yakuza 4, and the whole series just keeps getting better and better. Honestly, I wasn't all that interested in the series at all, for the most part, because, hey, most of these games are not really JRPGs, right? As far as I'm concerned, it's nothing but a 3D Streets of Rage with a focus on Japanese crime mafia. Little did I know, this series has a story that rivals some of the best stories in gaming. When the series went turn-based, I figured, hey, this series is worth giving a shot. I wasn't expecting to become a hardcore fan almost immediately, but here I am almost 300 hours in and still loving every minute of it. Eventually I'll make it up to Infinite Wealth, and I guess Yakuza Pirates in Hawaii since that game came out just last week? Honestly, even if you're not a huge beat 'em up fan, this is 110% worth it. Because it may not be a traditional JRPG in any sense of the word, but it embraces everything JRPG outside of the combat system and is completely worth it. I can't wait to actually get to Infinite Wealth because I keep hearing it was one of the best JRPGs of 2024. And Eiyuden Chronicles 100 Heroes, released on April 24th, 2024. So, 100 Heroes was a game that I was incredibly excited for. So much that I binged the prequel companion game Eiyuden Chronicles Rising the week before 100 Heroes was released. However, right before it released, I checked out a couple reviews and people were saying that it's Suikoden in all but name. So for regulars of the channel, you'll recall that I've never played a Suikoden game. It's just a series that I've never really gotten into. Considering 100 Heroes is essentially a spiritual successor to the Suikoden series, I wanted to play through at least the first two Suikoden games before I jumped into the successor. So I decided to throw 100 Heroes into the backlog until I played the remasters. Unfortunately, there was delay after delay, and now that the remasters have a release date, I can play through them and then jump into 100 Heroes afterwards. With that being said, I've heard a lot of negative discourse going on about 100 Heroes, mostly saying it feels too retro in the sense of how it plays out and how slow the overall gameplay is. Honestly, people saying things like this just makes me want to play it even more, because there's something about playing a JRPG that feels like it's from the 90s. That's essentially my bread and butter. Totally unrelated to 100 Heroes, but since I am planning on playing the Suikoden games for the first time once the remasters come out, is that something you might want to see a review for? Does someone experiencing these supposed gems in 2025 sound like something you'd be interested in watching? Let me know. If there's enough interest, I might just fit it into my video schedule. Alright, so Unicorn Overlord, released on March 24th, 2024. Normally, I don't care for real-time strategy games. In fact, I've never been a fan of them. I've tried games like Command & Conquer and StarCraft. I've even tried the Yu-Gi-Oh! Inspired one, Yu-Gi-Oh! The Falsebound Kingdom. But not only am I awful at them, I just didn't care for the gameplay style. They were just incredibly boring and slow with almost no interaction, it felt like. So when Unicorn Overlord was released, I was like, another real-time strategy game? Sure, it looks pretty, but if it's the same as other games of this genre, it just isn't worth my time or energy. However, I decided to give it a shot because it's Vanillaware, and Vanillaware games look gorgeous with its signature art style. I figured, why not give the demo a shot? And while it wasn't my favorite gameplay style by any means, I still really enjoyed the demo. I recently picked up this game on sale for the PS5, and while it's currently sitting in my backlog, I don't want it to sit there for too long. I'm hoping this can be the first RTS game that I truly enjoy. If not, well, at least I can enjoy the soundtrack and art of this game, even if the gameplay doesn't work out for me. Vanillaware always pleases in one way or another, so I don't have very many doubts when it comes to Unicorn Overlord. Octopath Traveler 2, released on, hold up, February 23rd, 2023? Sheesh, this game has been out for way longer than I thought. Oh well, it's still recent enough. I absolutely adore Team Asano. The Bravely series, Chronicle Strategy, Octopath Traveler, and Live Alive. Even more than that, I love the HD 2D style. So naturally, when Octopath Traveler 2 was announced, I was insanely ecstatic. But why didn't I play it? I don't remember if there were other games I was playing at the time, or maybe I just didn't want to jump into it right away. That happens way more than I want to admit. This was even before I even started my YouTube channel, so honestly, I don't have an excuse. With that being said, I'm actually really excited to jump into Octopath Traveler 2 because I've heard from several other JRPG YouTubers just how amazing this game is, and how it improves on the first in almost every single way. I was a little bit skeptical on this at launch because while I love the battle system and the music of the first game, I really didn't care for the lack of character interaction it had. It felt almost as if you were 8 strangers just hitchhiking together with zero interaction outside of the occasional optional conversations between them. Still, I hear that Octopath Traveler 2 fixes this to a degree, so maybe I need to give it a fair shot. I'm just sitting here remembering my time with the first game, and it honestly has me hyping myself up about the sequel. Is this hype deserved, or is Octopath 2 full of misguided excitement? Make sure to let me know. SaGa has always been a series that's been difficult for me to get into. The gameplay systems always overwhelmed me, I didn't understand the mechanics or the non-linear gameplay, and it constantly led to me being lost. However, with Romancing Saga 2 Revenge of the Seven, released on October 24th, 2024, it seems almost as if Square Enix is going towards more user-friendly design in order to get more people into this series. I'm super glad that this game launched with a demo, because once I tried the Romancing Saga 2 Remake demo, I pre-ordered the game so dang fast. Everything from the art style, to the gameplay, to the option for various difficulty settings, makes it perfect for people to get into the series. I was kind of discouraged with the series after playing SaGa Emerald Beyond, because honestly, I didn't care about the game at all. I didn't understand how to play the game or how any of those mechanics worked. I'll be honest, I picked that up because of the gorgeous characters and the bright and beautiful art style. This is a running trend with me, probably leading me to spending way more money than I need to. So naturally, after that game, I basically wrote off the entire SaGa franchise and wanted nothing to do with it. That's really saying something when a demo is so good that it gives you faith to give something one final chance. It's kind of funny that while I love the demo and it convinced me to immediately buy the game, I just haven't found the time to sit down and play it. As I said before, this happens more than I want to admit, but at least the positive is I'm never going to run out of any games to play because my backlog is ever growing. I actually mentioned Romancing Saga 2 Revenge of the Seven on my previous video where I talked about my 2025 gaming goals. So this is another game that I need to play through before the end of 2025. It'll happen. Hopefully. Next is Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince, released on December 1st, 2023. I love the heck out of a Dragon Quest. Every single one of the games is like music to my soul. Whenever I play a Dragon Quest game, it sends me back to when I was a kid playing the very first Dragon Quest game on the NES. This is a feeling that cannot be matched, so every time a new Dragon Quest is released, I get incredibly excited. Almost on like a spiritual level. When Dragon Quest Monsters: The Dark Prince was released, it was a Switch exclusive, and unfortunately, the game didn't perform all that well. It was choppy and laggy, the load times were atrocious, and everything just looked so jagged. Luckily, we got another release on PC, Android, and iOS on September 11, 2024, and this one runs fantastic, especially on the Steam Deck. So I think now it's time to give it a shot. The Monster subseries of Dragon Quest has to be one of my favorite Monster Collection series, even more so than Digimon and Pokemon. Heck, I'd even rank it higher than Shin Megami Tensei. I wish I could explain why, but honestly, this probably boils down to nostalgia. Just seeing all those monsters I grew up fighting over the years, fusing them into better monsters, and making them more and more powerful, it's a simple game to understand, but it's got that level of addiction that keeps you coming back for more. I'll definitely be jumping into this newest release soon. Besides, this game features Sorrow from Dragon Quest IV, which is arguably the coolest villain the Dragon Quest series has ever had, so that's definitely a plus. Okay, I'm sorry. This one isn't exactly a JRPG, but neither was the Yakuza series. False advertising? Maybe, but that's okay. Master Detective Archives Raincode, released on June 30th, 2023. Master Detective Archives Raincode is a visual novel, which is very similar to JRPGs. Think of them like JRPGs without a combat system. But anyways, visual novels have always been something I adore, normally the ones that feature murder mysteries and solving said mysteries. Some prime examples of my favorites are Zero Escape and Danganronpa. Seriously, play those. They're some of the greatest visual novels I've ever experienced. With that being said, the reason why I was interested in Raincode is because the writer and designer is the same as Danganronpa, Kazutaka Kodaka. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce that right, but if I was so excited about this game, why didn't I play it when it came out? Well, here's the thing with visual novels. I have to be in a very specific mood to play and enjoy a visual novel. It's the same thing with strategy JRPGs, which is why I also haven't played through Triangle Strategy yet, but that'll be another video. If I'm not in the right mood, I can't just get enthralled in a visual novel. But once that mood strikes, don't expect to see me for a week or two straight because I tend to hyper-focus on it. Anyways, the whole thing that drew me towards Raincode is that beautiful art style. It looks just like Danganronpa, and the fact that Kodaka is writing for it. I will buy anything that he writes for day one. I can't help it. I've never been disappointed with him. Well, other than World's End Club, but we don't talk about that game. That bait and switch. Very disappointing. So I really want to play Raincode, and once I get into that visual novel mood, I will jump into it as soon as possible. Here's hoping that mood strikes soon, because I really want to experience a beautiful supernatural mystery. Now, we can talk about The Legend of Nayuta Boundless Trails, released on September 19th, 2023. So before you ask, no. This is not by any means related to the Trails series story-wise. Sure, it was made by Falcom and features the same storytelling structure, but at the current time, it's a standalone story that doesn't at all connect to the Trails universe. At least, that's what I've heard. I haven't played it yet, which is kind of the entire point of this video, isn't it? Anyways, Boundless Trails is an action RPG, kinda like the Ys series, which is amazing. Play Ys. That all is amazing. Sorry, got a little bit sidetracked there. But as I said, Boundless Trails is like Ys, if Ys took place in a stage-based format. This was another game that I was looking forward to, but it came out at an inopportune time. It came out the day before I left on vacation for 2 weeks, so naturally, I was unable to play it. And when I came back from vacation, I was moving a week later. As such, it got tossed into that backlog, never to be seen again. Okay, that's a bit of an over-exaggeration, but since it's a somewhat short game, it seems like it would be a great game to play as a palate cleanser between longer JRPGs. I actually did make a video for a quick preview of this game, where I played through the prologue as one of the earlier videos on the channel, and I really like the whole setup for the game. It's a shame my circumstances prevented me from getting deeper into the game at the time. I want to go back to it soon. Sure, it's very clearly a PSP remaster, but as long as you don't hold it to the same standards as you would, say, a PlayStation 4 or 5 JRPG, you'll probably enjoy it as much as I have so far. This is also a game I want to do a full review on at some point, so please keep an eye out for that. And lastly, Metaphor ReFantazio. Metaphor did insanely well at the 2024 Game Awards, and everyone I see talking about this game has nothing but incredibly high praise for it. Some even saying it's the best JRPG they've even played. Considering how prevalent negativity is on social media and the like for current JRPGs, this is such a nice thing to hear. So what do I know about Metaphor? Well, it's like a Persona game in a fantasy setting, which is kind of an odd thing to hear because I always thought Persona was pretty much fantasy to begin with. It has a great job system, which draws me towards it because I love job systems. It's my favorite mechanic of JRPGs. Have you heard me talk about Bravely Default? And lastly, it has an absolutely epic battle theme. Like, I mean, incredibly epic. I've never thought of a rapping monk in a fantasy JRPG would work, but apparently it does. And incredibly well, I might add. While I've only played about 5 hours of Metaphor, I've probably listened to the battle theme for double or even 3 times that amount. I don't know who thought having game soundtracks on Spotify was a good idea, but give that man a medal. I can tell you right now the exact reason why I haven't played it yet. It's because, honestly, it's intimidating. When I see a game is over 100 hours, I'm like, that's a huge commitment. And then I just go ahead and find something more time efficient. But after seeing so many positive things, I think I might have to take the plunge and just jump into Metaphor because it looks like a game that's right down my alley, with its job system and great artistic direction. Maybe after I finish Yakuza 4, this will be the next game I jump into. So there you have it, 10 recently released JRPGs that are currently clogging up my backlog. Are there any games that have been released in the last few years that you really want to play but just haven't yet? Let me know in the comments below, and if you enjoyed today's video and want more JRPG lists, JRPG reviews, and JRPG news coverage, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to my channel, and ding that notification bell so you don't miss any of my future videos. And before you head off for today, make sure you check out this here video. I have a feeling it'll be something you really enjoy. With that being said, this has been Shanky. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time with me. I will see you next week. Until then, have a wonderful day.